probably happens without you even thinking about it. And you probably do it to celebrate an event, to mourn something, or to even just pass the time. I've worked at many different bars and restaurants, and I could tell you it happens normally, all walks of life, and it's a normal thing to do in society. I'll be talking a little bit about the culture of drinking, introducing to you an artifact, and I'll be sharing with you what some of the significances and controversies are between the two. Now, let's start off with the culture of drinking. I want to share with you some of the three important aspects that I think you should think about when you hear the culture of drinking. Now, first and foremost, social drinking. And that could be a broad variety of things. So, social drinking is when people socialize, a group, a pair, doesn't matter how many people, but there's alcohol involved. Now, there's been a lot of studies done about exactly what are the effects of social drinking and what does it do to us. According to a study done by the University of Oxford, they say that social drinking is good for the human mental. It actually permits us to remove the timidness or the shyness that we have when meeting strangers and enables us to want to socialize with other human beings. They say that helps grow or develop character within us. Next, I want to go over drinking etiquette. Now, drinking etiquette is a very black and white topic. The reason being is that drinking etiquette varies depending on what part of the world that you find yourself. I'm sure that you've heard that in Japan, burping is a sign that you are satisfied and that you enjoy the food. But over here in America, that might not be the case. People might think it's a little obnoxious. But for the sake of this conversation, I want to go over something called the Greaves Rules. Now, the Greaves Rules was something that originated in the UK, but it's something that we practice here in America very predominantly. Now, I know you guys heard this rule before, and it's if someone buys the first round, then you should buy the second. And that was one of the first rules that actually came out of the Greaves Rules. Now, third, I want to talk about drinking events. Now, the reason why I want to talk about drinking events is because I think it's good to understand how all these things combine into one nice little package. Now, the event that I want to use as an example is Oktoberfest. So, Oktoberfest originated on October 12th in 1810, and it was actually to celebrate the Prince of Bavaria, who was getting married at the time, later to become King Louis the First. Now, the reason why I use this event as an example is because it brings people from all walks of life into one place, no matter how far, not only just to drink beer, although that is a huge perk, but it also shares culture between people and lets people experience different cultures. Now, next I want to introduce my artifact, and it's going to be a big one, so give me a sec. So this is my artifact, and this is actually a blue agave plant. So now that you've seen my artifact, I'm going to go over exactly what the agave plant is, how it's used, and how it actually works in conjunction with the culture of drinking. So the agave plant actually grows in arid and semi-arid areas, usually within the Americas. That would be like Mexico or the Caribbeans. And the agave plant has many uses. I'm sure that you're familiar with one of them, and that's being tequila and mezcal and all that deliciousness. However, it has a lot of other very useful things. The fibers within the agave plant are actually used to create clothes, to create nets, to create items that are useful for everyday things. Next, I want to talk about how tequila works in conjunction with the culture of drinking. And how that's done is when it's brought into the bar. When you have a sip of tequila or anything that's agave based, maybe agave syrup, people use that for their pancakes. You're actually tasting a little bit of the culture of Mexico. Now, agave takes time to create. There's a family that actually grows the agave plant. They then process it and turn it into the product that you're trying today. And I think it's very important to see how the agave plant and the drinking of culture actually intertwine, because you're actually trying culture, you're actually bringing culture into the bar, into someone's life at that time. So next, I want to go over some of the significances and some of the controversy behind these two things. So first off, I'm going to start off with the significance of the agave plant. So the agave plant actually is a huge thing for the economy of Mexico. According to Punch, the tequila market should be about $6.36 billion by 2025. And that's a huge number to think about. Not only that, it allows farmers to have opportunity. Many big players such as Patron or Don Julio, they're always looking for agave plants to purchase, allowing the farmers to make money. In addition to that, it allows farmers to actually create their own products, to distill their own spirits. Next, I'm going to be going over some of the controversy. Now, the controversy behind the culture of drinking is something that we're all very aware about. It can have a negative effect on you physically, mentally, and it actually does have a very high addiction rate, which in long run can have some permanent damaging effects. Now, I'm going to go into some of the controversy behind the agave plant. Now, one of the biggest controversies right now is that the market, as I mentioned before, is huge, $6.36 billion. Now, that's going to bring in a lot of people trying to grow, trying to market, and this cuts down on the amount of money that other farmers are making it very competitive, almost leaving them jobless. In addition to that, the amount of demand for agave is affecting the environment. Pretty soon, the demand or the usage of agave is actually going to outrun the amount of agave that's cultivated, which in the long run is going to end up eliminating some species of agave. Agaves typically take around 7 to 12 years to grow, and that's a very long time. So just to recap with you guys, we went over the culture of drinking, we went over the agave plant, some of the benefits and the cons of both. The next time you try something that's agave based, enjoy every single last drip, because you never know, we might end up having a very small amount left. Thank you guys.